I went to the corner, my friends, they weren't there. They said, hey man, you want your share? I turned around and walked away. I didn't want to live nowhere. Street corners with the finest of youth.
Hey everybody, Douglas Scott McCarron again. The more I get into this losing weight thing and looking at the way that I look at the world, I'm really discovering how many presumptions I have lived with. And I don't necessarily believe them, but they kind of got into me, and then I discarded them, and then I thought I judged my dad for having various beliefs. So, I may not be as open and liberated from my past as I think I am. Definitely calm and peaceful, but stuff's still mulling around. One in particular that always kind of struck me as odd, even when he used to do it, was when there was a problem in the family, or there was, some kind of monetary issue or whatever, or I'd done something stupid and gotten in trouble for. My dad would tell me, don't tell the women. We don't want to upset them. I told the story earlier about when I was talking about my interaction with the police. There was one time, more of my girl troubles. There was this girl who was like 13, I was like 14, who I decided I loved, or whatever it was I thought was going on. I wanted to get to talk to her. And in the middle of the night, I was walking home one time, and on the army base that I lived on, there was a bunch of woods, and I was walking through the woods toward my house, but I passed the back of their house where she lived, and the light to her window was on, and I got the idea, well, if I just sort of stand out here, she'll look outside and see me and open the window and talk to me, and then I won't have to admit that I'm infatuated with her, and we can just sort of talk. So I go over to the window, and I'm kind of hanging out, waiting for her to come out so I can talk to her. And I hear this branch crack, and I turn and I look, and it's her dad coming toward me, big silhouette. And it suddenly dawns on me, I'm staring at this guy's daughter's window in the middle of the night. Not the middle of the night, 8 o'clock. Still, doesn't look good. So I took off running, and it's amazing how much faster than an old man that a 14-year-old boy can go. So I ran around real fast, got away from him, and then I ran into another problem. I lived on an army base. Army bases are surrounded by fences with barbed wire on top, and there's only one way in and out of the army base, and that's the military police station at the gate. And it occurred to me, this guy may have called the military police. So I look around, I see military police coming over where I am, so I go running into another set of woods. And there's shining lights on me, and so we kind of run around the base for half an hour with me trying to get away from them. Of course, there's no way to get away from them. And eventually I come running out of the woods, and MP's standing at his 45, pointed at me and tells me to halt. So I halt. And he comes over and grabs me and drags me back to the car and slams me down the hood and sticks a 45 to my forehead. This is my introduction to telling a girl I love her. Now, of course, from the MP's point of view, he'd heard there was some pervert looking in the window, and so he came to get me and control me. No, that wasn't how I looked at it. They get taken to the police station, they get my name, they call my dad comes over, they're interrogating me. I'm trying to avoid, act like it's not me, because if I say it's me, then I got to admit that the reason I'm looking in the window is because I like the girl. that's more embarrassing than getting chased by the cops for looking in a window. Hey, things you do when we're 14. Anyway, in the middle of this, Dad tells me to quit lying. They know I did it. And I'm like, oh, gee, thanks, Dad. So I admit it's me, and they say, why were you there? And I just sort of mumble. So they eventually turn me over to my dad. He takes me out of the car, and we sit down, starts the engine, and he turns and he looks at me and says, whatever you do, don't tell the women. So we drive home, and he comes in the front door with me, and my mom's all excited, like, what's going on? What's going on? And he's like, don't worry. It's handled. Don't worry about it. I got it handled. What's going on? Don't worry about it. Don't ask. So, here's my mom, sitting at home. My dad gets a call from the police. He runs out the door, and then he comes back with me. And she's like, what the hell happened with my son? And he's like, don't ask. I'm not going to... So, we don't want to upset the women. No, women have brains and they're smart. They're not just going to sit there and go, oh, I guess nothing happened because my husband went off to the police and came back with my son. They're going to wonder what the hell's going on. And my dad wouldn't tell them. There's a bunch of other stuff. I've seen guys do this with their women folk, they treat them like, a lot of them act like the women are dumb and don't comprehend what's going on, which, of course, women are trying to look for boyfriends to prove that they're lovable, so they eventually have to start acting like they're dumber than they are so the guy will talk to her, which in my experience is usually stupid because, when us guys are all stuck in our way of the universe and nobody can challenge us, women tend to have a different way of looking at things and could actually provide some real good information and input. But no, can't do that. They're women folk. So here we are, stuck in our silliness and not sharing with the women what's going on, who would have a different view of things. Goes on in whole countries. Wars go on. Men get sent off to the front. Don't let the women know what's going on at the front. Protect them from it. As the guys are getting their arms and legs blown off and getting blinded and mutilated. And then one day, this casket comes home, or a ribbon says the husband's dead, and the wife's like, what the hell happened? Sometimes it's a good enough indoctrination that the women thinks it's heroic and wonderful. But there's this, don't tell the women thing that goes on in a lot of cultures, or I'm going to tell you and you need to shut up because you're a woman. Why you would cut out the one person who knows you the best to help you look at another situation, I don't know. But it was just always weird. We were never really monetarily threatened because my dad was a lieutenant colonel and, he gets a free house and he gets paid pretty well. So it's not like they're going to be evicted or that the Army's going to evict us. I mean, he's a graduate of West Point. He's definitely not going to get evicted. Though there was, he got posted out of the United States. And the Army, you can't live on base if the person who's in the Army is not in the country at the base. So we had to go out and live on apartments, and then there were strains about money from that because he's over there. I'm leaving the country unnamed on purpose. And we're living in this apartment in Virginia. Did have a weird thing happen where Mom wanted to buy a car. This is like this mid to late 60s. So she had to get a letter sent to my dad where he was overseas, and he had to sign it authorizing her to buy the car because the local car dealership wouldn't sell her a car. The man had to back it up. And it was especially weird because my mom graduated from college. She was probably smarter than my dad, more educated. Up until she married him, she had pretty much a pretty good job, had a little bit of a business going on, but when she married him, well, the Army, the wives can't work. So she had to do social clubs. She couldn't go out and make money. No. Can't do that. The Army takes care of everything. So I'm sure she felt very repressed. I suspect that had a lot to do with her suicide because she'd become stuck in this life that totally cared for her, and yet at no point could she actually show up. She couldn't show what she really believed because if it contradicted anything, it could influence my dad's career negatively. It was just, this is all before the women's liberation movement. I'm sure it was just horrible for her. She'd have all these guys talking down to her because, she's a woman and she's like seething at them, but just accepting it. But, we're so smart. Don't tell the women. They can't understand. As if they don't have a clue in their brains. And then the women all sit around and talk about what numbskulls their guys are because, you're limited to your own view of the world and it never dawns on you to look outside her to get a different view, which further just keeps you connected in your cocoon and stuck there, never growing, never letting go of it. So it's all just kind of weird. Tell the women folk. They probably have some neat insight that you probably learned from. Just have the humility and the graciousness to listen. Okay, thank you. Until next time.